Welcome everyone to the Q Avenue Public Information Meeting. My name is Dean Disterheft. I'm a project engineer here with the Road Commission of Kalamazoo County. And I would like to start just by going around the room with a few introductions. To my left is Sarah Phillips. She's our communications administrator here at the Road Commission, and she makes these presentations possible. To my right is my supervisor, Jim Hookstra. He's the assistant county engineer. And right next to him is Nate Whitting and Haley Savalia. They're both with Rowe Construction Services. They are our consultants, and they did the design and will be doing the on-site inspection for this project. And then circling around the room, we have two very ambitious, bright-eyed young apprentices from the Road Commission. They are in our apprenticeship program, and that's something the Road Commission started a few years ago, and it's an excellent training program, and this is part of their rotation, is to attend one of these meetings and to kind of get a taste and flavor of what it's about. So welcome both of you, thanks for attending. And with that, I'll get started here. So this is one of our 2025 projects on our primary roads. The project limits for Q Avenue are from 29th Street to 34th Street. The project funding is both federal funding and Road Commission funds. Who will be doing the work? Reith Riley was awarded the bid. They were the low bidder for this project. And as I mentioned, the inspection will be covered by Rowe. And I will also be assisting some of the inspection, but most of the project oversight from the Road Commission standpoint. Some of the general project information is as follows. The contract award for the bid was a little over $2 million. The tentative start date, which is somewhat approximate here, we did not get a definite schedule yet from our contractor, but it's going to be around the May 12th day, give or take. The completion date is scheduled for August 4th, and the scope of work is as follows. Tree clearing, pulverizing, drainage improvements, paving, restoration, signing, and pavement markings. How was this project selected? There were a couple of criteria, but the two big ones is for the funding source, it had to be a rural road, which this obviously is, and there had to be a need met, and the need for this corridor here was we wanted to connect our all-season route, and that's from 29th Street to 34th Street. So that project will nicely accomplish that. So the federal funding that we were able to get was $1.6 million for this project. The balance of it is paid for by the Road Commission. We will have, when the project is done, a nice wide shoulder due to the widening, and that will provide a nice non-motorized route for cyclists and pedestrians to travel on. Impacts to traffic. Q Avenue will be closed through traffic during this project, but residents will have access to their homes. Driveway access will be maintained. Emergency vehicle access will also be maintained at all times, and work will primarily be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I should add to that, it's typically Monday through Friday. That's not to say, though, that if they need to stay on schedule, that they may not be out some Saturdays. So just adding that in there as well. There is a detour route in place for this project, and it's utilizing 29th Street, S Avenue, and 36th Street. And we need to use our primary roads for these detours, just to add that. What to expect? Once construction begins, you can expect to see a rough surface and some dusty conditions. There will be periodic delays depending on the operation. There will be driveway transitions. So what this means is that we will saw cut a portion of your driveway. We'll try to minimize that as much as possible, But the road elevation will be increasing because we're making this an all-season road, so we're adding to the profile thickness of the road itself. So in order to have your driveways transition, we pave back into those so that way you don't have an aggressive hump at the end of your driveway getting to the new elevation of the road. Continuing on here, so we will also, due to the widening, we will do some mailbox relocation that will be temporary. They will be replaced at the end of the project in their original locations. And there will be some lawn disturbance, but that will be taken care of with our restoration at the end of the project. The schedule is as follows. The tree removal, as most of you know if you live out in that area, is currently going. We're nearing the end of that. Right now it's in the cleanup phase. So that has occurred from late March to early April. We're anticipating that the cleanup process, part of that of this operation, will occur next week, we're hoping. Beyond that, culverts and widening will occur from mid-May to mid-June. The crush and shape operation will be around the mid-June time period. Ditching will be mid to late June. Paving mid-July. Restoration, shoulder signs, and pavement markings late July. Tree work. So we are removing trees that are dead or dying. Any trees that are impacted by the project, which will primarily be the widening and the ditching. Trimming and pruning will occur as needed. So I took a few phone calls and people were like, gosh, you know, some of these trees were beautiful and you're cutting them down. I included this picture. I'm not a forester, but our forester went out, identified the trees that were in a condition where they could come down in a storm. And when that happens for us, when we have these come down during storm events, it's usually at night and we have to dispatch our crews, and that's very costly for the road commission. So anytime we have a rehabilitation project like this, we do the tree clearing. And I love trees. I know it's hard to see these big, beautiful historic trees come down, but this picture just really captured well what we see. You know, from the outside, this tree looked very healthy, but in the center, it was completely hollow. So this would have, eventually come down, at an unforeseen time in a storm event. And it's unfortunate enough when it does cause delays in the traffic because we have to come out and remove it. So if it happens, during the morning hours, that may cause a delay with the buses or your route to work. But it's a real tragedy when it does take a life. And we did have that happen recently in our last storm. So after the tree work is done, we'll begin with the culvert placements. We have 6 of these on this project that will be cross culverts. During this operation, we will have a closure at each of these locations, and that's not to say that you still will not have access to your homes, but you may have to find a little bit of a jog in your route, depending on where you live and where the culverts are going in at the time. We anticipate that these operations will take about 2 days, could be as long as 3 for each culvert, that is. Next, we move on to the shoulder widening operation. Again, as I mentioned, making this an all-season road, we're also widening it. And so we're extending beyond where the original road was placed, and we have to remove the poor soils that are in the shoulder. And this picture depicts what that operation will look like. So after the bad soils are taken out, we then place a spec gravel in there, aggregate base that is compacted prior to the pulverizing operation that comes up next. So we also refer to the pulverizing as crushing shaping. The machine you see here in this picture is a pulverizer. And what that does is it goes across the existing pavement that's there and it chews it up. It grinds it up, mixes it up with into the existing aggregate that's beneath it, and it creates a beautiful new aggregate base for us to then build upon. And you can see the end result of that after that process has happened. So this is right after it's pulverized. You can see that the machine right up above there. So there is a grading operation that takes place and then compaction. This project also includes, in addition to the culverts, to include as part of the drainage improvements, some ditching. And we will also have a new concrete curb and gutter placed at the intersections of 31st, 33rd, and 34th Streets. After the concrete curb and gutter is placed, then we move into the paving operation. This project will get 3 lifts of asphalt, 2 inches each. This first layer we refer to as the base course, and that goes directly on the new ag base. The second course, the second layer, we refer to as a leveling course. That will happen after the base is placed. These operations generally happen very close to one another, but depending on weather delays and also contractor schedules, you may see some interim periods at times. So as I mentioned, placement is weather dependent also. And the final layer we refer to as the top course is the one that the contractor really takes a special effort in making sure that it's very smooth, that there's very little marring in it. You may see some imperfections in the first 2 courses that go down. There's really not a reason to be concerned for that, but the top course is the one they really take a lot of care in, because that's the one we want smooth and to really reflect the rideability of our new road. And then after all the asphalt is placed, we then put the new shoulder gravel down. Now that will happen throughout the project on both sides. And then we then move into the striping. So then we have our paint trucks go through, put all the lane striping in for the pavement markings. And we're almost complete at this point. Then we get to the restoration finally, and we will restore the new road to your yard. So it will look somewhat alarming during the construction, but when we finish, we'll place topsoil and seeding, as well as some mulch where it's needed, and that will transition very nicely into the existing ditches and yards where those yards do go up to the road. And finally, we will have our new updated signs and replacements that will occur. And our new road will feature consistent paved and gravel shoulders, as well as updated drainage. And if you would like to connect with us, here's the various options that you could choose to do so. And if you would like to stay up to date on the project, we have a vehicle we call RCKC Connect, and you can sign up for this on our website, and this will alert you with weekly notifications of where we're at with updates on the project. And we are hiring if anyone is interested or knows of someone that may be interested in working for the Road Commission. And I'd like to thank all of you for attending, and I would like to open it up for any questions that you may have.
Got a question?
Yes, sir.
As they are chewing up the crushing and whatever, and starting the process of resurfacing, how accessible are we going to be to get to our homes?
Yes. I'll need to repeat these questions so that the mic gets it for the recording. So the question is, during the crush and shape operation, how accessible will the residents be able to get to their homes? So you may experience some delays, but we will always make your homes accessible. Like you will not have to park in an off-site location and walk to your homes. But that's not to say if the operation, for example, when we're paving, if they're paving right in front of your driveway, they may hold you for about 15, 20 minutes until the operation passes, and then they do the rolling. And then at that point, you can go across the mat and onto your driveway, just as an example.
What about
Yes.
the new bridge? If you're going to widen the road, what about the bridge?
The bridge is not part of this project at this time.
But if you widen the road, is it going to be,
So the road will transition into the existing width of the bridge. Yep.
Curious about the tile, the cement tile they're putting in, is that gonna go down the center of the road or the edge, or?
So that the cross culverts will grow. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm forgetting to repeat the questions. So the question is, will the tile, otherwise referred to as a culvert, will that go down the road or across the road? Is that your question? So these cross culverts will connect the ditches from side to side. So these will be cross culverts, so they will transverse the width of the road. And there will, as I should mention, there will also be driveway culverts as well.
Is that just in swampy areas?
Let's say, where are the locations of these 6 culverts gonna go?
So we can get into that. That's a detailed question. We have some plans, and we can answer that after the meeting. Yeah, the plans are right here in the back, so I'd be more than happy to assist you, or the 2 engineers from Rowe as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a big pit, and it goes right up to the edge of the road. What are you gonna do about that?
I'm sorry, did you say you have a pit that goes,
A big pit,
pit, yep.
big hole, really big,
So,
and it goes right up to the side of the road, not the road,
so the question is,
it's near the corner of 34th and Q, and it's right along Q Avenue?
I cannot picture that right at the moment. So,
People don't see it because of all the trees that used to be there.
so,
There's no water there.
so the short answer, so the question is, she has a pit that goes right up near the edge of the road. So we do run into this frequently, where there will be, decorative landscaping within the right-of-way. And unfortunately, whatever there is in our right-of-way, whenever we do a project, that will have to be removed. Or, I mean, we do not intentionally, try to remove it. Let me put it this way: if it does not have any impacts on the project, it will stay. But if we have to do some ditching in through there, or if it's affected by the road widening, which it more than likely will from the sounds of it, then it will be affected by the project.
Affected how?
It may potentially have to be taken out.
What's gonna be
It would
taken
have
out?
to be filled.
Then that would occur. Yeah, we can discuss that more in detail after the presentation. So I'd be more than happy to go into more detail of that.
Can you tell
yes.
us what you're planning for down by the stoplight, what that's gonna look like?
So we're talking 34th Street.
Yes.
So the project is actually, the limits are going to extend about 200 feet to the east of there. So as I mentioned, you will see new curb and gutter going at that intersection, and it will be paved, and the approaches to the north and south street on 34th will be paved a short distance. So it'll look like a brand new intersection there when we're through with it. You're welcome.
Why do we need cutters and curbs on the corner?
Seriously,
So
it doesn't flood. It's never flooded there. If you're gonna worry about flooding, you need to go down by the bridge. 'Cause it's nasty down there.
Yes.
So that's, we do that for a few reasons. So it does, I know you may not, okay, so I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting to ask these questions, yeah. So the question is, why are we putting in concrete curb and gutter? It does facilitate in the drainage. I know it may not appear to be that necessary, but as we grow, our infrastructure here at the Road Commission, we have found that these are very helpful. Also, it helps when we're plowing snow. Our drivers can tell very easily where the intersections are when we do have very heavy snowfalls. And I know that doesn't seem like, much of a concern lately, but, if in years past, we have definitely seen that. So I'm going to defer to Jim. He may have something to add to this that I didn't discuss.
The edges of the road typically are the parts that break up first, too, right? So that's where you're going to start to see cracking on the edge of the road, especially at intersections. You might have a big truck, or I think in this case there might be some ag industry out there, farmers and such. And they tend to ride on those edges, and it's very harsh to the edge of the road, which might be the weakest point. So by putting that curve there, it also helps us keep a straight edge, and so it doesn't start breaking up in that critical area.
Now, is it gonna just be a cistern type drain with the gravel bottom, so it just fills up and then soaks into the ground, or is it gonna be actually piped down away from the road, like down the ditches?
What kind of gutters
So-
are you putting in?
So there is no storm sewer on this.
Correct.
Right.
So
Right.
You're putting in a
So
gutter,
where's
so
the
your
water
water's
gonna
gotta go.
You put a drain, where's it going?
it'll just kind of flow it out away from the intersections.
It will then infiltrate into the soil, into the ditches.
What happens when you come to the bridge?
So as I mentioned, that will be transitioned. The road will transition into the
Right,
bridges.
I'm talking about the tile, the big cement tiles. You can put those along there. Are they going to dump into the river? We got plenty of water in the river.
And it's been in our basement a few times, so.
So if we may, I want to give everyone a chance to answer their questions. So let's come back to that, okay? Because there's been folks in the back that I've been skipping over. So
One, how wide are you widening it each side? One, are you widening it each side, or one side, or how wide?
the answer is yes to all. So we are, so the question is, are we widening it? Yes. So it's going from 22 feet to 28 feet. Each side will be 14 feet, an 11-foot drive lane, 3-foot paved shoulder.
There's not enough room in my place to do that with the pit. It goes right
It's
in.
gonna get filled in.
You have seen
So
this
it's
pit.
part of ours, 'cause
It's
you're
going to
gonna-
take a lot of room.
So you said you had another question?
It's kind of a dumb one, but you said you're gonna put new soil down and in the grass and all that. Are you gonna put that netting crap? I'm sorry, but you did it with the bridge and it almost ruined our mower. It doesn't dissolve, it's plastic, it sits there, you have to go out and pick it up. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. When the grass starts growing, you can't get it up.
So typically we use the mulch blanket. That's the stuff with the plastic material in it that you're talking about, the netting, in the high erosion areas where the slopes are very steep. So I may defer to Haley, did the design of it. I'm guessing that most of this will probably not need that. You may see some mulch straw. But Haley, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it'll be based on the slope, and then there could be hydro mulch, there could be just topsoil seed and regular straw, so it's gonna just depend on the areas and what the slopes are,
Yeah, thank.
For sure to
yeah.
That's what ours was the ditch. We're right by the bridge and the swamp and all of that. So it just literally goes like this.
In that location, unfortunately, we're required by Eagle, because it's a floodplain, so that area will probably have the mulch blanket for sure.
It's also a wetland, so
Right, but we're under regulation that we have to follow what Eagle tells us to put there, so. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, a mulch blanket is gonna be going there, because we're required to.
What other questions you got?
well, the other question that I know a couple of us have had, the internet that's going down the road. Do you know anything about that?
So the question is, do I know anything about the internet fiber that's going down the road? I do not. That's, so it looks like Jim does.
Well, I saw Sarah trying to pan the camera to me last time, so I don't know much about the fiber internet that's coming either, but I know we have a permit from Charter, so they are looking at doing a vast program in Pavilion Township primarily, I think maybe Climax as well. So they're doing massive build out. We do not have much in that. We don't do much with it. We permit them to work in the right-of-way safely. Beyond that, I don't know their structure, how they're doing it or when, and
Who are they?
Charter Communications, Charter Spectrum, yeah.
I would say right now Frontier has been going down and doing a lot of horizontal boring
Okay.
all down Q Avenue, and they're 230, but I think they went down 29th and they went down to 34th and headed back towards 29th Street with their horizontal bore. So, but I also see new natural gas pipe laying along the sides of the road too. So
Consumers
Is
has
there-
been up there.
consumers extending the natural gas farther east, do we know?
Consumers is doing anything out there?
So Consumers is on site doing relocations for the project, Consumers Gas. Consumers Electric will also be on site doing some relocations of their wood poles by the bridge for the project. But as far as extending gas service or anything, that's not part of our project. So there's relocations happening just because of the ditch line and they need to have certain cover over their utilities. So the utility relocations that will be happening that you'll see out there, AT&T will be out there, they'll be relocating some of their pedestals that are in the ditch line. Consumers Gas will be out there, and they are out there, I think, currently. And
Yes.
then Consumers Electric will be out there by the bridge doing some full relocations.
So my telephone box won't be swimming in the pond anymore?
Potentially.
I mean, that's the last telephone box on that whole line.
If it was impacted by the project, it's getting relocated. If it wasn't touched by the project, then it's staying, so.
We can,
But we
we can
can-
show you on the plan set later, just get relocated, we can let you know.
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna come talk to you guys about those plans. I'd like to see a lot of work done right there in that area, 'cause it's
One-
not pleasant.
Last question, the work on the road, how will it affect buses? Because we have a Vicksburg bus that comes down 29th Street, or 29th the Q, at 8:10, 6:30, 8:10, 3, and maybe 4? I don't know the afternoons because I'm not there.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. So how is it going to affect them? Because I'll be honest with you, when they redid the bridge, I had to drive them up to the township hall, and that's not fun. It didn't make me happy.
Especially when you're on the east side of the bridge. and
Yeah, you have to drive
township
all the way
hall's on west
around.
side.
So how is that going to affect the buses?
So to my knowledge, we're still going to allow the buses, To-
Except when the culverts are.
yes.
So if they're doing one of these cross streets underneath the road, there will be a point where nobody's gonna get across. Aside from that, I do not expect that there will be any problem with maintaining bus traffic.
Is there a way to notify the bus garage? I mean, because I'll be honest, I didn't know this was happening. I drove home one day, I'm like, why is there road closed signs all over? And then Monday they were up, I'm like, okay, surprise to me. So I don't want the buses to all of a sudden say, oh, well, we can't get to your road.
Yeah, we will be reaching out to them in advance. The work so far has just been trees.
Which has been brutal enough, I
It
guess.
has been brutal, but the majority of the work is still yet to come. We are in talks with the busing. Right.
I think if you look at their schedule, the crossings for those are in June and July, so it won't affect buses.
Just my graduation party.
Yeah, just our graduation party in June.
Okay.
So I'll probably have to talk to them, but the 6 culverts that are gonna cross the road,
Yes.
the locations of those, and how were they chosen, where those were gonna go. And like she's mentioned, this husband and wife, but the second house east of the bridge. So you got the first house, the second house, and the third house, those yards are constantly underwater because of,
And the private drive.
and the private drive because of the level of the river or creek or whatever we're gonna call it today. And the way they slope the culvert going drained into it, it back feeds up the river or up the culverts back to all of our yards. And we spend 2/3 of the summer in a swamp, which is bad for the mosquitoes, bad for my lawnmower, bad for everything. Is there any plans to try to fix a lot of that issue?
So do you have anything to add? So the question is it part of the project to help out with the property next to the river, the stream? There's a culvert that goes down to that, and it backs up at times. Is there any plan for this project to take care of that?
I think the culverts are going to be put back exactly where they exist today. We're not adding any new ones, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So they're basically going to be a replacement of what's out there. If we're going to go through the trouble of repaving this road and making it right, we want to make sure we take care of any of the underlying issues at the same time. So I don't think we're looking at doing any massive changes to the drainage pattern out there necessarily. I think your question would be very applicable to these guys here. They got the set plans and they can talk to you exactly what's happening there. But I don't think we're anticipating major changes, new culverts, any of that kind of stuff.
Is there any way to, you guys have 33 feet from the center line up into everybody's property. Is there any way to build up the property on the home side of the ditch area to try to contain the water a little better? Or is that all going to be on homeowners to try to bring in 200-300 yards of soil to get their yards up to grade so they stop flooding?
Typical, you want to repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question is, will there be anything done? We refer to it as the back slope of the ditch. Will that be enhanced in any way to prevent some of this water from encroaching upon the property owners' yards? So I'll give a quick answer to that, and if anyone has any more to add to that, by all means, go ahead. So that, from my understanding, that's really not part of the scope of this project. As you saw from the presentation, the intent was to really, as a requirement of this federal funding, was to make this an all-season road. So that was our main objective here. So I don't think an evaluation was done of each property in terms of, potential flooding issues. But Haley or Nate, if you have anything to add, please feel free.
Yeah, that area by the bridge, and I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
That's the floodplain. So we're limited on what we can do there. And that's, again, all regulation set by Eagle. So we had to get an Eagle permit for this project to even do the road work. And that was very difficult with what we were proposing. So we are limited on what we can do and what we can do outside, within the limits of the project. And that's all regulated by Eagle. So we won't be building anything into people's yards in that location or going outside of the right of way because we really can't. That's all regulated by Eagle.
Thank you.
Not news I
So
want to
it's
hear.
unfortunate, but
None of the neighbors want to hear that either.
yeah.
One more question I got is there any way to know when I pull out of my driveway in the morning to go to work, or when I'm coming home from work, this whole tree debacle has been a real pain because I'm coming in from 34th Street and going out towards 34th Street, and I turn on to 34th Street and I get all the way down there, and lo and behold, here's the tree guys that were very inconvenient because they would block the entire road, so you couldn't get by, so you would sit there for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, then they might decide to let you go by, or you turned around and drove 3 miles out of your way to get back home, and it's always like going to the casino and rolling the dice to figure out which way am I going to go and not run into construction.
That is my question too. What do the weekly updates look like? Are they going to provide enough information that we can get to the closest cross street from our home in order to solve this? Because the tree work blocked the road completely in 3 spots in one day at one time. I couldn't leave my home and go either direction to a cross street.
So the question is, what will be the impacts to the residents in terms of coming and going from their homes with the ongoing work that's going to take place? So there are always, I know this is not a popular answer, but it's just how it is. Whenever we do road construction, there's always delays and inconveniences. And I live in the county too. I had it happen to me. I mean, before I came to work here, I've been here 5 years. I was driving home, they were chip sealing my road. And I just parked in the ditch and just walked to my house. And I mean, it was, a quarter of a mile. So I'm not saying that that's feasible for everyone, especially someone that's, up in years. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I will address your question. So you asked, will the updates cover this? Unfortunately, they're not to that detail. They will update you on what operations are taking place for that week so that you can have an idea of what to expect. But if we can, we'll try to get those out. There are times we can get, some daily updates out, but as a rule of thumb, it's really more of a weekly update. So with that said, I understand it doesn't take the pain away from what you just described. Again, unfortunately, there will be just some delays, and we will do our best to try to mitigate that with the contractors so that they will be permissive of the residents to allow them access. And I really don't want to see them holding you up for 20 minutes, but they could have been at a point in their operation where they picked a point in their day. So, but you do have to look at it from their perspective. They're trying to get a job done, and that's why we did a closure of the road too. So I'm just saying, just try to bear with us, be a little patient. This will soon come to pass.
I understand that, but when you pull up to their trucks that have the whole road blocked, and you sit there for 10 minutes while he's cutting on this tree, and then he picks his outriggers up and he relocates his rig, they could very easily move those two trucks because there were guys sitting in both of those pickup trucks doing absolutely nothing. They could move those trucks and let you go by before he moves and starts on that next tree. Instead, they move 20 feet up the road, put their downriggers back down, and you still sit there and wait for them to do their next project or their next tree.
So I guess the other
that's
piece
horrible.
is it going to be
Unacceptable.
strategic? Because the tree work is not. To have crews working in 3 different spots and to have vehicles not be able to get to your home or you to leave your home to a cross street is a safety issue. So when this work is happening, are they gonna start at one end and work their way down for each stage? Or are they going to be piecemealing it?
So I think Jim had
I do want to
something.
interject real quick. So Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we do push out updates via the Connect platform.
We do, yep, for the
So-
weekly news release, and that will contain some details
So-
about what that exact week's going to entail.
Like sections at least?
Yeah, usually sections, but for the most part, I don't know if that's you or me. Probably you. But for the most part, no, we will try to publicize what's coming, especially with these cross culverts. That's probably the biggest impact. That's what's going to stop the buses. That's what's going to cause you to have to go around the long way. That kind of stuff, we'll be in touch, specifically Nate here. Nate and his team, they'll be knocking, letting you know if something's changing. So if you're on one side of the culvert now and the next culvert's going to be done next, they're going to try to get in touch with you. Now, they can't sit at your house all day, but they will try to make an effort to at least let you know. The Connect platform, I believe, usually will try to post this kind of thing. We'll say, culvert work here or, whatnot if we can. They do move kind of fast at times. There is some operations, paving for example, where they're going to do the whole thing at once. So it's not like they're just going to pick off one spot and work here. It's going to be the whole thing at once. And that's kind of the nature of the beast for some operations. But
Yes.
for the sensitive ones, like culverts, we'll try our best to let you guys know what's coming before it gets there.
Can you just put a note in the mailbox that says, hey, instead of having to try to knock on doors, put a note in the mailbox, we're gonna be working in this, from this address to this house number, so you might wanna think about going the other way tomorrow, or what have you.
Flyers are a common thing we do. We normally don't put them in mailboxes, we normally put them on doors.
That works.
That is an option.
I know another option I've seen used before is like emails. So if you want to pass along an email, maybe we can get a hold of you that way and let you know beforehand.
What I will say too is regarding your comment with the tree stuff, with the culvert work, If they're just setting up to get on a culvert, our guy on site, we will have a guy on site at all times for all the work going on out there. His name's Skyler. He's, I don't know, maybe 6 foot tall, blonde guy with, you'll see row all over him.
Big white truck.
What's that?
Big white truck.
Big white truck, row truck, you'll know who he is, and at any time you can go up and talk to him. If you see myself or anybody else from row on site at the time, come talk to us. But if you do see them starting to dig for a culvert, at the time when the ground's starting to get dug, it's not feasible to wait there for them to put it back and you cross. At that point, I'd say go around, but before you do, talk to our inspector and say, hey, how long is this going to take? Where are they moving next? So at least he can tell you, hey, they're going to be done with this in the next couple hours, and we have done with it by the end of the day. I'll recommend when you come home from work, go the other way, because they won't have started on the next culvert yet, so you'll be fine coming back this way. It's not going to be a foolproof plan. Plans change in construction all the time, but he will give his absolute best option for you guys to do. And so I'd say he's a great resource on site for you guys. He's got the, like I said, white hard hat, stuff all over him. You'll see him out there. Go talk with him. He'll be happy to talk to you guys and give you guys the best updates as possible as things come along.
Now, is the plan to start at 29th Street or start at 34th Street and work your way east or work your way west, depending on where you start on doing the culvert, so we'll have an idea of...
Yes. That makes the most sense from a contractor standpoint. I can't be in the contractor's head from extenuating circumstances, but on general projects, yeah, that's how we work. We go all the way down the street. Now, that's not to say, hey, maybe they have 2 crews going. I don't know who the dirt work contractor is yet. I don't know if they'll have 2 crews or 1 crew. I don't know how they're set up and how they're loaded out yet. But for the most part, any contractor will start on one end, they're going to work from one end to the other. So at least we'll have an idea of, like, you know, they're going to A to B to C instead of the A to E to D. You know, they're not going to be jumping around. It wouldn't be efficient. So I would say yes, we can kind of go from one end to the other.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Are the culverts going to dump into the river?
So the question is, will the culverts dump into the river? So they will be replaced as is. So if they are currently draining into the river, then they will continue to do so.
But if you're putting a culvert under the road, where's that water going? Is it going to go into the ditches and then into the river?
So the purpose of the ditches are twofold. If there is enough grade, you know, it may carry the water, you know, to a stream. But more times than not, the ditches have a holding capacity that just allows the water to infiltrate into the soil. Now, with that said, when we have, you know, heavy rain events like we've had and the soils become saturated, you know, then there generally is some type of flow and movement. But, you know, of course, they're going to follow gravity and, you know, and go to a stream. But that's the general idea behind it. Yes?
I have 2. In regards to driveways, more so concrete. How are you going to handle that? Will you do a straight cut across the drives and butt up? And question 2, when you're bringing the mailboxes back, can we have a heads up and mark where we want them? Because the houses where you have to walk across the street, some people like to have it before the drive so you can pull in ahead of your driveway and grab your mail and then pull into your driveway. Those are my 2 questions.
So the 2 questions are, she has a concrete driveway and she's wondering how that will be handled, and also her mailbox. Can the location of the mailbox be changed? So regarding the driveway, they will be saw cut, and it will be a nice, clean, straight cut across the approach.
So we're not responsible for anything.
No.
Placing concrete.
Correct. So yes.
If they want concrete.
Yes, I was going to get to that. So what you may see in that operation is that they need to do a removal, and they typically go through and do all of the driveways, you know, near the very beginning of the project. So to allow you to have access to your driveway, they would typically place gravel or crushed concrete, something to that effect. So you know, you are going to have a little bit of a dip to go through during the project. We try to keep that time as minimal as possible. And then this is a paving project, asphalt, so we're going to replace that with asphalt. But with that said, if you would like to have it be replaced with concrete, we can do that, but it is at your cost, and we don't perform that work, we don't coordinate it. That's solely on the homeowner.
And then the mailboxes?
Yeah, so the mailbox relocation, I would say that can be done. Again, probably Nate's shaking his head yes, so that would be a coordination with the field representative on site.
Skylar, you just talked to Skylar, you guys will all be familiar with him by the time the project's done.
The big white truck?
Yep, white truck, and he's got glasses and a hard hat on, you'll go find him and say, just say, hey Skylar, our mailbox is coming up, can we get our mailbox?
That's the way at the tail end.
If he's plugging the mailbox out, they're gonna be kind of close to putting it back near there, right?
Well,
They're not gonna move it 20 foot either way down.
No.
They're gonna stick to, not the same hole, but the
Yep.
same area.
Same general location, yes. Yep. Yeah, but I would, if you see, you know, the end of the job's coming, they'll do that tax. So when you see the end of the job, they'll just put a bug in.
Because I started out with postal
You can put a
diggers,
stake.
and that gravel and postal diggers don't go down through it very well.
Are they gonna concrete it? I mean, ours has been put in with a 4x4 and concrete. Now we're gonna take the old one out, they can put the new one in. If I bring a new 4x4, they gonna put it in right or what?
So we abide by the MDOT specifications, which is just standard across the board. In MDOT specifications, we do not put concrete back in the post holes for mailboxes.
But they will put new posts, right?
We will absolutely put new posts, yes. So the new mailbox, yes, to answer your question, includes a new 4x4 and a mailbox.
And then you take, okay, then, okay.
And if you want your existing mailbox salvaged, that might be an option. You would have to talk to the contractor though. If you have like a decorative mailbox or
Oh, they're gonna replace them? Put new ones up?
No, not the mailbox, right?
something, the boxes get replaced.
The mailbox itself?
Well, I have to look at the spec, but on most projects, the mailbox itself gets replaced.
I was just thinking, why did I get a snowplow?
Mailbox,
6 foot in the ground, put it on
I'll come back to it. Oh, I know, where are you gonna relocate them, and how long will there be inconvenience to get the mail? Where are you gonna place the mailboxes?
I don't know if there's a
We don't have a spot on the plan.
a spot on the plan, but there would be a bank of them, and I believe, I think the most sense maybe would be at the west end of the project, in that.
I was thinking the township hall.
Township hall. Yeah.
We have to talk with the
But
township to make.
I'm not entirely sure yet.
Usually we work with the post office
Yeah.
to talk to the delivery person, make sure that wherever location is usually what they want. So that's predominantly our issues.
Yeah.
You could put them in the tree if they were gone.
Zing.
On the location, the relocated location during construction, everyone will be made aware of when that happens and where that spot is going to be.
They will be gone for at least 2 months, where they have to go for at least 2 months getting their mail down the road somewhere, 2 months.
What about garbage service? How's that gonna be affected?
So the question is, what about garbage service? So we will allow them to come and pick up the trash, but as we've tried to relay here, that it's going to be a construction zone, and there may be times, especially if they're replacing a cross culvert near that location, they may not be able to get to it.
Can you make sure the second Wednesday of every month? We get recycle pickup once a month, the second Wednesday of every month, that's it. So, pick it through. Oh, it's the second Wednesday of every month, and it's full by then.
I'm going to move on to this gentleman here. He's been waiting quite a while.
Thanks. So this is 2 questions on a driveway. One, if you're going to replace that driveway with asphalt instead of concrete that we have there currently, asphalt is not as strong as concrete, so the base that you have for concrete is different than the base that you have with asphalt. Are you going to dig deeper to make sure that you have appropriate base when you put back asphalt?
So the question is, what will the base be beneath the asphalt approach that we replace if he has an existing concrete driveway? So yes, there will be an aggregate base. They grade it, compact it, and then put the asphalt back on top of it.
Okay, and then the culvert that we currently have in our driveway, is County Road Commission going to have a new one? They're going to reuse what's there? They're going to put a brand new one down?
So the question is, will he get a new culvert or will it be a replacement using the old one? Yes, you will get a new culvert. And the road commission does cover that. It's not billed to the resident. Anyone else?
So we got plans, if anybody's
Yep.
got a specific question, or a detailed question about your driveway, come see us. Me, Haley, myself, and Dean, so.
All right, with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you again, all of you, for taking the time to come out this evening.